From the King George's Estates, outside of downtown Port St. Lucie, Florida. Good Saturday evening, everybody, and welcome back to KC and 60 right here on DARPATV.com. Kevin Canessa here with you for the next hour or so. And to all of my regulars, I thank you for logging on and for joining me here tonight. And to anybody who may be here for the very first time, I welcome you to the program as well. Now, I need to ask a question. Bill, you can help me out here. I'm not hearing myself very clearly through my headphones, but you'll be able to tell me. Do I sound okay? Am I clear? Am I coming through clear on the audio side? Okay, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if I sound loud to myself, as long as everybody out there can hear me. That's the most important thing. And I want to, of course, welcome Bill and welcome everybody who's here tonight. This edition of KC60, you may notice in the background that everything belongs to Joel McGurk. And for those of you who did not hear, last night we did a show together here, and I did a show right here from Joel's studio, that I officially moved from the state of New Jersey to Port St. Lucie, Florida. After 37 years, the first time I've officially become a resident of the state other than New Jersey, and of course for the 4 years that I went to college in Rhode Island. I'm going to just give you a little bit of a background and explanation as to why I did what I did, because this is probably coming as a surprise to some of you. A couple of weeks ago, I was, of course, most of you who are regulars to the program know that I worked in Haddonfield, New Jersey for Elwood Media. I was laid off a couple of Mondays ago, and when it happened, it was very, very intriguing because I had a conversation with a friend of mine, Mary, who was a colleague and a dear friend, and we were outside after it all happened, and she said, "What are you going to do?" I had to stop for a couple of minutes and think about this, because here I was going through the same situation that I did just a couple of years ago, and it hit me, I think, at that very moment that Joel and I had talked numerous times over the years about me moving down here and starting anew and trying something completely different with a life here in Florida. And you know something very, very clearly, especially if you watch Joel's program, how talented he is. I really believe in his talents as a radio broadcaster, especially in the realm of sports. He just his knowledge is vast, and it's frightening sometimes how much he knows and how much he just spews it and lets people know and shares it, and he shares his opinion. And we had talked about this a couple of times, that at one point or another, I guess it was probably around 2010 or 11, I can't remember exactly when it was, that I would consider perhaps coming down here. It wasn't feasible at the time, back in 2010 or 11, whatever it was, but it was very, very feasible this time around. So what I'm looking to do is to really start fresh, start anew, a brand new life here in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Very, very difficult it was to leave New Jersey. I got to be honest with you. And those of you who know me know that my life was all about New Jersey. I'm always bragging about the state, even though it's considered the armpit of America to most people. And most people make fun of me, especially guys like Frog Hill always have Jersey jokes, which are great, by the way. I love them. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not complaining by any means. But it came to a point where I realized, hey, listen, I wasn't succeeding. I had to change things. I have to change my whole way of thinking. And I wanted to start completely fresh, a new clean slate, if you will. And that's part of the reason why I decided to go away from Jersey and to come down here to be with Joel. Joel is an absolutely dear friend, and he's opened up his home to me here. And how could I thank him enough for that? Where here I am, just a schmuck who I got to know Joel, of course, through Sid's show, and then here on DARPA and Shovio and things of that nature. But he opened up his arms, and he opened up his home to me and said, "Come on down here." And that's exactly what I did on Tuesday. I took off from Newark Airport via Charlotte, North Carolina, and then I was here Tuesday evening, and the rest, as they say, is history. And Bill said in the chat room, you get used to it. I guess I sort of already had a heads up on that, too, when I moved from North Jersey to South Jersey, because that in and of itself is like going to another country, Bill. You know, it's such a different way of life in South Jersey than it is in North Jersey, and it's very, very different here, too. I mean, the first night I was sitting out in the back patio, which is very, very remarkable, because these things I didn't even think about before I left to come down here, but I was out in the backyard, and there were lizards outside. And at first it scared the living daylights out of me, but then I realized they're harmless little creatures that are not going to do anything anyway. So that's something I'll have to get used to, of course. And then last night I was sitting outside working on some things, and out of nowhere comes a little toad. He just jumped off the ground and right onto my lap. Scared the shit out of me because I'd never seen a toad outside of a zoo or outside of somebody's tank, and realize that it's a lot different here. There's a lot of things like that. The humidity is oppressive, to say the least. For somebody who sweats like I do, it's a pain, but I'll get used to it too, I'm sure. And they tell me that once October hits, it starts to get cooler here, so that's good because it's in the 90s almost every day, rains almost every day, and the humidity is very, very, very high. But hey, we get that anywhere anyway during the summer months, so it's not like it's all that out of the ordinary. I'm used to that, but it is very, very, very intriguing, to say the least, that after being such a Jersey guy and for 37 years of my life being a resident of New Jersey, and here I am in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Joel and I are going to get a place together in the next couple of weeks, and it will be somewhere in the Port St. Lucie area, I would imagine. It's remarkable, too. And one of the other things about doing something like this is the cost of living here is just insanely cheaper than in the tri-state area. I can't believe some of the things. It's just remarkable that rents for $600 you can get a mansion. For $800 you can get an entire home. We were looking at a place. Bill, this might be what you're talking about. I'm not sure if I had a chance to tell you this or if Joel told you yesterday, but he found a place that had 3 bedrooms and a finished garage that we were considering setting up as a complete studio. It's unbelievable. And something like that in the north, in the northeast especially, would cost $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and here it's $800. So the cost of living is incredibly cheaper here. So I mean, there are just so many different things that caused me to want to do this, and most especially my friendship with Joel. He's supported me during some of the toughest days, and I want to be able to do the same for him too. And I really think that the opportunity is fresh and right to get him into radio somehow. I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but I just have a feeling it's going to happen. And not only do I think it's going to happen, I think it's going to be very, very soon. I really, really do think that Joel is going to make it big in this field. It is just one of those intuitive things that is just remarkable. He's got that talent that very few people really have. There's so many wannabes in the world, in this sports radio arena, but Joel has talent. Joel is not a wannabe. He is a full-fledged member of what I would call the elite. And sooner than later, and I didn't even realize that he's watching here, he just got an email from the guy about the house, which is awesome, but it's great. It's just absolutely phenomenal. So that's just a little bit of a background. I saw Tom wrote something to take a little getting used to for him, but let's see. Of course, it's covered, figures, but it means a better life for kids. I'm all for it. But until I come to Grant of New Jersey, I'll pretend this is just a hologram. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Tom said that yesterday about the appearance that I made with Joel. It seemed like it was one of those Tupac holograms, So, but I really am here. If you look in the background, McGurk sign is back there. I couldn't hologram that in. I know I'm pretty decent at doing technical work, but I can't be flashing 2 places at one time. Trust me, I'm not that good. As good as I can be with some of this technical stuff, I'm not that good. But once again, to everybody out there, I thank you all very much for your support. Not just now, but the support that you've given me all over the years, going as far back as October of 2009. It's hard to believe. In October, it will be the 3rd anniversary of the start of Shovio.com, which I was a part of back in the day with Sid Rosenberg, and it's just overwhelming. 3 years later, here I am, and here's what we're doing. But you will see me do occasional shows, not as much, but I will be doing some shows on occasion, and I will be there and doing everything within my power to ensure within the next couple of months the mouth is on somewhere and making big bucks doing it. So you can count on that part. Bill asks how the new camera is. I'm loving every second of it. Bill, you can tell me because you're watching me on it. So it looks to me like the frame rate is really good. I keep looking down. I keep forgetting the camera is usually is lower, but I have to look up for the camera because it's a little bit higher here. But I think it looks phenomenal. Yeah, we had some trouble. Bill and I were using the Logitech video service the other day, and it was very, very choppy. I don't know if it was the weather or what was going on, but it seems to be much, much better right now. Yeah, this is the new camera. So there's a couple of things I want to get to tonight. And the first thing really surprised the living daylights out of me, because I had seen on NJ.com a report just a couple of days ago that said that Mitt Romney was strongly, again, considering Chris Christie to be his running mate for Vice President of the United States. And I really believed that for one reason or another, Christie was going to be the guy. This was a guy whose complete and utter being is very, very popular right now in the United States. People love Chris Christie for one reason or another. I could care less for him. Couldn't care less for him. I really, he's very pompous. He's very, very loud and obnoxious. But he's doing a halfway decent job in New Jersey. He's done things that a lot of governors over the years completely completely forgotten about. So in that regard, Christie has done a decent job. But I really thought he was going to be the guy who became his nominee. And it turns out that it's not. It's a man by the name of Paul Ryan, who is a Republican congressman from the state of Wisconsin. Now, Bill writes, who is Ryan? And at first, I had no idea who he was. I'd never honestly heard of him until just this morning, when I had seen all over Twitter that there were going to be press conferences and people talking about this guy. It turns out he's been a congressman, I believe, since 2000. And not only has he been a congressman in his district since 2000, he has never lost an election. This is a guy who is very popular and has always gotten about 67% of the vote, no matter who it is that he's running against on the Democratic side. He's had some phenomenally strong races. Now, you look at the state of Wisconsin, and I wasn't so sold that Wisconsin was going to be the type of state that Mitt Romney would go after somebody for. I really believed, in my heart of hearts, that if it wasn't going to be Chris Christie, who, by the way, I still say wouldn't have been able to deliver New Jersey for Mitt Romney, because New Jersey generally, at least in the last, couple of decades, has been solidly Democrat, even though you have a Republican governor. I really believe that the vice presidential candidate was going to come from a state where the person might be able to deliver in a swing role. And what I mean by that is pretty simple. Marco Rubio, the Republican senator from the state of Florida, to me was the most logical choice outside of Christie, because he could possibly deliver the state of Florida for Mitt Romney. Whoever wins the state of Florida, now there are going to be people out there who completely disagree with me on this, and that's absolutely your prerogative, and I understand it. I believe whoever wins the state of Florida, whether it's President Obama or whether it's Mitt Romney, is going to become the next president of the United States. And by picking a candidate like Marco Rubio, I think that Mitt Romney would have done himself a greater service, because a guy like Rubio, who's young and is very energetic and is a senator in a very important swing state, would have done more for his campaign than this guy does. Now, on the other hand, from the little that I know about Mr. Ryan, he's only 42 years old, born in 1970, which is kind of remarkable too, that he's only a couple of years older than I am. And he is young, energetic, and he is very fiscally sound. He is very, very, very into finances. He has a bachelor's degree in finance, and he's very, very well versed when it comes to issues of finance. And when you consider what this country's going through right now, I perhaps believe that that's the reason why Romney chose him, because of his financial expertise and the committees that he's been on in Congress. So what we'll do is, we're up against the first break. We're going to take the first of two darker TV breaks. When we come back, I have a couple of video clips that will give you a little bit of an insight into who Paul Ryan really is. And I'll give him a couple more things, and if anybody wants to chime in, feel free to do that by clicking on the lips and testing your webcam. If you don't have a webcam and you have a microphone, you can come on board too and join the discussion. The interaction is what makes DARPA TV so wonderful, that you can get involved on all sorts of things as well. So we'll take that first of two DARPA TV breaks, and when we come back, a little bit more about who Paul Ryan really is. This man is a heartbeat away, perhaps, from being President of the United States. We'll be right back.
Televisión DARPA.
What is up with that DARPA TV? Must be a great place. Sure, I will take you there. DARPA TV, here we come.
8:21 in KCN60 in DARPA TV. It's 21 past the hour. Canessa back with you here on KCN60 here on DARPA TV on Saturday night. Very glad you decided to join me here on this special edition of KCN60, coming to you live from beautiful and wet Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the McGurk home, my new home here in South Florida. It's great to be with you, and we're talking before the break a little bit about the vice presidential candidate Mitt Romney chose, and Paul Ryan. A lot of people just simply do not know where he is, and it's kind of remarkable. Jersey Rob, I think you missed it all, that I moved to Port St. Lucie, Florida on Tuesday. It was a big surprise for many people. I am in Joel's studio right now. Joel is a couple of rooms away from me right now. I didn't know he was watching, but he was taking a nap. So, Rob, I'll explain it to you all a little bit later. I just went through it a couple minutes ago. Sorry you missed the beginning. So, who is Paul Ryan? Again, he's a congressman from the state of Wisconsin. He is 42 years old, born in 1970. He will, if Mitt Romney wins the presidency, be just a couple of heartbeats away from being the president of the United States. And if he were to become the president of the United States right now, he would be the youngest president in the history of the country. He's only 42 years old. He's a very, very young guy. So here's Mitt Romney introducing him to the crowds just this morning. And then after that, I have a second piece where Paul Ryan explains a little bit about who he is on his own, and who better to explain about Paul Ryan, hear it from Paul Ryan. But first, the introduction from Mitt Romney.
It's an honor to announce my running mate and the next Vice President of the United States, Paul Ryan.
Let me say a word about the man Mitt Romney is about to replace.
I love during campaigns when they say that. The next Vice President of the United States, the man who Mitt Romney is going to replace. Very arrogant when people do that. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat who says that. It just irks the living shit out of me, the cockiness that some of them show. And it's kind of funny because when you look back, they look like complete imbeciles.
No one disputes that President Obama inherited a difficult situation. And in his first 2 years, with his party in complete control of Washington, he passed nearly every item on his agenda. But that didn't make things better. In fact, we find ourselves in a nation facing debt, doubt, and despair. This is the worst economic recovery in 70 years. Unemployment has been above 8% for more than 3 years, the longest run since the Great Depression. President Obama and too many like him in Washington have refused to make difficult decisions because they are more worried about their next election than they are about the next generation. We might have been able to get away with that before, but not now. We're in a different and dangerous moment. We're running out of time, and we can't afford 4 more years of this. Politicians from both parties have made empty promises, which will soon become broken promises with painful consequences if we fail to act now. Higher unemployment, declining incomes, and crushing debt is not a new normal. It is the result of misguided policies. And next January, our economy will get a comeback with the Romney plan for a stronger middle class that will lead to more jobs and more take-home pay for working Americans.
And it will also include a lot more money in the bank of millionaires. So, here's the thing. I like this guy already. I do. He's a very, very good speaker. In fact, I think he's a better speaker and more understandable and more to the point than Romney is. And I think he's an even better speaker than perhaps the President and Joe Biden are. But what's the one thing, folks, that you didn't hear from this guy whatsoever in his opening speech? And granted, that was taken out of bits and pieces, so out of fairness, there are different parts of that speech that were cut out. But what's the one thing that you didn't hear from Paul Ryan? And I'll give it to you very, very simply rather than try to play guessing games here. where I didn't hear a solution as to how Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan are going to go out there and attack this awful economy that we're all in right now. One that just cost me a job a couple of weeks ago, and one that has cost many of you out there the opportunity to make more money, and that has cost countless people that we all know money that could be made but can't be because the economy is the way it is, and promotions, and better jobs, and better security. It's just not happening. I understand that. I completely understand it. And yes, I don't think the president has done a decent enough job to get it back to where it needs to be. I don't believe he has. But where are the solutions from the other side? This is what happens all the time in political races. And quite frankly, I'm getting sick of it. I really am getting sick and tired of hearing politicians talk about how shit poor Barack Obama's performance was. And for many, many ways and many, many areas, economically, they're right. But they don't offer us an alternative. And if you're going to say cutting taxes on the independently wealthy is going to make this economy any better than it is right now, you're dead wrong. You are dead wrong. And that's all you seem to hear from the GOP. And that is that if we ever expect things to get better, we've got to lower taxes on the extremely wealthy, the top 1%, the biggest money earners in this country, so that it'll trickle down. Well, if that were a logical solution, where if you tax the wealthiest less, it will affect the middle class like you and me, let me ask you this question, and I mean this absolutely sincerely. When did the big oil companies in the United States of America and abroad make their biggest ever profits on record? And the answer is very, very simple. It was last year, in 2011, the oil companies made their biggest profits in the history of mankind. And the chances are that in 2012, when all is said and done, the oil companies will have made a bigger profit than they did in 2011 and in 2010. If that solution that the Republicans often propose, and that is that if you tax the wealthy less, it will trickle down and help the little guy like you and me. And I don't mean to call anybody little, but you understand what I'm saying. The middle class would say, we'll just say as the little guy. Then tell me how it's possible that in 2012, right now, to get one single gallon of gas, it's $3.70 for the most part. And that's generous. In many places, it's a lot more than $3.70. Despite these record profits that these companies are making, Exxon, Mobil, Texaco, Chevron, British Petroleum, go on and on and on, just use all of them. They've made the biggest profits in the last years alone. But it has never once, folks, affected the price of gas over the last couple of years, except for maybe 2008 when the prices of gas dipped down to like $1.50 a gallon for a couple of weeks. And I thought that was more of an election ploy anyway. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw gas prices dip in the next couple of weeks anyway, as we get closer and closer to the Romney-Obama election. But that nonsense that we constantly hear, that if you tax the wealthiest less, it's going to affect the middle class just as much as it does the wealthy, is complete and utter bullshit. It's an absolute atrocity that Republicans continue to say that the best way to get this economy jump-started is to do that. But yet, that's the only solution that I ever hear any time from Republicans, is that if you want to get this economy going, don't tax the wealthy as much as the Obama administration does. It's unfathomable, folks. And they don't have an alternative. They don't have a solution. As we welcome in the one and only, the most immortal man, who I'm not going to scream his name the way Joel does, my man from the barrios of Los Angeles, California, El Señor Carmán Cabron, one of the truly most wonderful people I know. And DBL is here too, from the PSL area. Good to see you, bro. Hope you're doing okay, man. Hope you're feeling all right. I know it wasn't easy the last couple of days. I hope you're doing okay, bro. And it's always good to see you and everybody who are here tonight with us on KCN 60. So bottom line here, bottom line here, it is unfathomable to me that we are at August 11th, 2012, and there hasn't been a single instance that I can think of. And if you can correct me on this, I want to be corrected. I don't want to be right on this. I want to be somebody to tell me, Canessa, you're absolutely out of your mind. There is somebody who said something from the Romney camp that says, well, we're going to give you this, this, and this is what's going to help the economy improve and get better. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I haven't seen the response yet. I haven't seen the specific example of how the GOP is going to come in and make it better than it is now. And I'll tell you this. If somebody came up with a logical plan, it would give me a reason to consider voting for Mitt Romney. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm done voting for Republicans. But please tell me, show me the specific examples of what you're going to do. And again, I'll say it one last time, I don't want to hear that you're going to tax the wealthy less so that it trickles down. It doesn't work. It worked one time only. And when the program was over, the country was a fucking mess. And that was in the 1980s when Ronald Reagan used trickle-down economics to jumpstart an economy that was just a complete and utter mess left by Jimmy Carter in 1979, 1980, 81. I just don't see it. So, again, I do think that picking Ryan is going to be a very shrewd move on Romney's part because Paul Ryan is a very smart economic guy. He's on many committees in the House that deal with the economy and economics. He has authored numerous bills that have never gotten past committee that may have been able to jumpstart things. And I think that's what Romney's going to have to do here. I think he's going to really have to take what Paul Ryan gives him and really use it as part of his platform. I just haven't heard it yet, and I want to see it, okay? I do want to see it. So people are still asking the question, who is this guy, and what does he stand for? One extra thing that I do know about him is that he is a Roman Catholic. He's a Roman Catholic, and he's involved in his church, which is a first for the United States. Both vice presidential candidates are Roman Catholic. We've only had one Catholic president in John Fitzgerald Kennedy, and we are possibly going to see two consecutive vice presidents who are Catholic. So here's a little bit about Paul Ryan from the man who knows Paul Ryan better than anybody else, Paul Ryan.
I'm a policy person. I believe my goal in life earlier was to be an economist. Then I got involved in public policy, in economics, public finance. And I just learned at a young age, you can really make a difference in this country. And that's what motivated me to public service. And so I was offered a job as an economics policy researcher for my home state senator, Bob Caston, at the time. And she really gave me a big nudge to take that job because she was worried I'd become a ski bum. And that's when I got involved into economics and politics. Jack Kemp, I ended up working for, and he was really my mentor along with Bill Bennett. And that's what got me into public policy and kind of is where I am today. Losing your dad at a young age gives you, I guess, a sense of mortality, I suppose. What it does is it means every day is really important. Your family is so important. I want to be a good dad to my kids, a good husband to my wife, and time is of the essence to fix these problems. I'm not one of these people who just cares about getting reelected and reelected and reelected. I want to fix these problems. And if you're a budget person like I am, an economics person like I am, you can see that we have a very dangerous road ahead of us. And we as a country are going to be so much better off if we fix our problems now on our own terms, on our own timeline, than if we let these circumstances run away from us. And so that is why I guess I'm in a hurry. Life is precious. America is amazing. Let's keep it that way.
America is more than just a place, though. America is an idea. It's the only country founded on an idea. Our rights come from nature and God, not from governments. That's right. That's who we are. That's how we built this country. That's who we are. That's what made us great. That's our founding. We promise equal opportunity, not equal outcomes. And this idea was founded on the principles of liberty, freedom, free enterprise, self-determination, and government by consent of the governed.
So again, it's a little too early for me to go out and say too many things about Paul Ryan. I think he's a phenomenal speaker. I've heard a lot of positive things. What I've read about him thus far is that he is an economic genius, but I want to see it in action. I want to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. Now, you guys know I've already made up my mind. Up to this point, I know who I'm voting for. It's going to take a big thing to happen for me to change my mind and pull the lever for any Republican at this point in my lifetime. But the bottom line is, this guy could be very much what the Romney campaign needs to add a lot of pizzazz to it. He's an excellent speaker. And when you are in a mess economically, as we are right now, what you need the most is somebody like him. You need somebody who understands what it takes. But I want to see the specifics. I want to see it happen. And I want things to be what they are. Tom says he loves to hunt, and from what I can tell, he's already a better hunter than Dick Cheney, so that's a plus. I think anybody's a better hunter than Dick Cheney, isn't he? Anybody would be. That's the damn truth. That is the truth. But this guy is going to add some energy. I still believe that Marco Rubio would have been a better choice, because if he had chosen somebody like Marco Rubio, I think you all would have guaranteed him the election. But now Florida goes back into the toss-up category. If Rubio had been the candidate, I think Florida would have been more slightly to Romney. Now just put it in the toss-up category. I just don't know. I don't know. Gelb, it's funny, and it's good to see, back in the chat room, somebody who we have not seen in a long time, the great Zachary Lazarus Arthur Gelb Jr. is back with us after a summer at Pine Forest Camp. We miss you, Zach, and it's always good to see you, and I'm sure you're getting ready to head down to good old Temple in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania region. In case you can't tell, Gelby, you can see in the background, I am now in Port St. Lucie, Florida. I am at the home of Joel McGurk. I've moved to Florida. Long story, we will get caught up. There's plenty to talk about, Gelb, so we have a lot to talk about, and I'm sure I'll reach out for you in the next couple of days so that we can get caught up, hopefully catch you before you leave for Philly. But I'm down in Florida now permanently, so we'll get to that. I'll call you in the next couple of days. And so that is it. That is it. We just see what's going on. You know, it's going to be a very intriguing election. I can't wait to election night. Election night to me is one of the most nerve-wracking nights in any type of night. It just because I think it's going to be one of the closest elections we've ever seen. I think it might even be closer than 2000, to be honest with you. And I don't think any election could be ever closer than 2000. It's just going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome night in November. And the debates, one of the debates is in Boca Raton, Florida, so I want to try to get tickets for that, although I don't think it's going to happen. 39 minutes past the hour, Knesset here with you on KCN60, coming to you live from Port St. Lucie, Florida. We're going to take the second of two DARPA TV breaks. And when we come back, there's a couple of minor stories that I'd like to get to, including these brothers in Detroit who were convicted of murder and sentenced to 25 years and who may be released. I have a new phone number, Gelby, so I'll text it to you a little bit later on after the show. And then there's fake 9/11 charity. Pretty disgusting. You're watching KCN60 on DARPA TV. Don't go away. We will be right back. It's 41 past the hour. Knesset back with you here on KCN60. And for those of you who are new to the program, here's a classic moment from KCN60 from a couple of years ago.
Just going to this whole, match debate, Omar Minaya and Jose Reyes.
Masturbate.
What?
You said this whole masturbate, Omar Minaya and Jose
No,
Reyes.
Mets debate.
Oh,
Mets.
Okay, but it did sound like you said masturbate.
Going to this whole, match debate, going to this whole, match debate, match debate, match debate, match debate, match debate. masturbate, 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 masturbate.
42 past the hour. Canessa back with you here on KC and 60. So glad that you decided to join me here tonight. It's good to see so many familiar faces, and also great to see Zach Gell back in the building after a summer at the Pine Forest Camp. It's unbelievable that he's leaving to become a student at Temple University in just a couple of weeks. It just blows my mind that it's already at that point. Now, this was an intriguing story. This was extremely intriguing. Two brothers who were sentenced to 25 years in prison on a murder case, and it's possible that they might be free. Take a look at this.
They were hoping this might be their last time in a courtroom, but freedom will have to wait at least 2 more weeks for Raymond and Tommy Hires. Family and friends who packed the courtroom were hoping they would be released today.
It's hard to wait this long, knowing that they just keep going back and going back. It's something that has to be done, but it's hard to wait.
Judge Lawrence Talon tossed out the murder convictions last week. The brothers had been convicted of killing a Detroit drug dealer in the late 80s, and the two spent the last 25 years in prison. Prosecutors are appealing the judge's decision and want the two to remain in custody pending the appeal. The judge says he needs more time to look at prison reports to decide if the brothers should be free on bond.
I always believed in their innocence. I always knew they'd come home. I knew this day would come. It's just sad it took 25 years.
A Facebook post from Mary Evans in 2009 got the ball rolling on the case. Conversations led to the discovery of witnesses who never told their story to police. And after months of hearings this year, the judge awarded the 46-year-old brothers a new trial.
Thank God for technology, even though I'm not crazy about it, but I do like the Facebook aspect of it, so I'm really happy and thankful for Facebook.
Defense attorney said today an ex-prison warden was ready to testify on the brothers' behavior behind bars. Family and friends say the two men have waited long enough to be set free.
Like I said, this is something that I've prayed for since I was a little girl, and they've been a part of my life, even though I haven't been physically able to see them. They call, they talk, they keep up with everything.
Family and friends were so sure the brothers would be released today, they had planned a welcome home barbecue. They'll have to wait until at least August 13th. That's the date of the new bond hearing. In downtown Detroit, Michael Rosenfield, 7 Action News.
In an era where it is so easy to convict people, whether it's with DNA evidence or sometimes even circumstantial evidence, it to me blows my mind sometimes that there are people who are not guilty of anything. You envision knowing that you were incarcerated for 25 years for a crime that you didn't commit. For all those years, and you know what it's like when people are in prison. You know very well. People say, I didn't do anything, that's why I'm up in this joint. You know, well, there really are some people who fit that category, who are not really guilty of the crimes that they've been convicted of. And for 25 years, we still have had to deal with this. It's not to say they're necessarily going to be found not guilty in the weeks, for God's sake, my God. It's one of the reasons and one of the justifications I often give for not supporting the death penalty in too many cases, because of the possibility that something like this could happen, where people are wrongfully convicted and wind up getting the death sentence, and then you find out, when all is said and done, that they didn't do what they were accused of doing. But this is an intriguing story, one that I'm going to follow, and I am intrigued to see what happens, whether they get out or what's going to happen over the next couple of months as this continues. One last thing that I want to do, so about 45 after the hour, and I'm going to wrap things up in just a moment, but I think most of you know that when it comes to TV, the thing that I enjoy the most are cop shows, border shows, medical dramas, and something new that's coming to NBC in a couple of weeks. Flashpoint, of course, Bill, absolutely. Flashpoint coming back in a couple of weeks. It's supposed to be on Ion this year, I guess, and that's coming back for its final season. Very disappointed that they're canceling that show after just 4 seasons, and I just irks the shit out of me when this happens. It happens so often with these wonderful shows. They just say they want to go out on top instead of giving me a couple more years of ratings. But at any rate, there's a new show coming to NBC from Dick Wolf. And any of you who are Law & Order fans, you know the name Dick Wolf right away. He's the creator of the program, Law and Order, and all the spin-offs of Law and Order too. And coming this October to the NBC network, and NBC needs a real shot in the arm because they're getting slaughtered by CBS and by ABC in the drama category. NBC has not had a good run in years. They haven't had a good run with anything, really, truth be told. And this new show from Dick Wolf is one that I'm excited about. And what worries me about it is that anytime I fall in love with a brand new show, it usually gets canceled after about 13 episodes, like Miami Medical and Trauma, which debuted a couple of years ago and lasted for one season, and Hawthorne, which they canceled too, with Jada Pinkett Smith. But this one, I have a funny feeling is going to last a little bit. And if you look in the clip that I'm about to show you, you're going to see a familiar face who is not an actor. He is the mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, who of course was the chief of staff to President Obama. He's going to apparently be doing some kind of cameo in this. Take a look at this preview for what I hope is the next best show on TV, Chicago Fire.
This fall, get ready to take a ride with Firehouse.
No, I don't know what just happened there. Not quite sure what just happened there, but it just completely stopped. I'm going to try it one more time, and I was just scratching my ear, which is kind of funny, because you probably caught me doing that.
This fall, get ready to take a ride with Firehouse 51.
Let's go! Mother, daughter, trapped, both responsive.
Everything's gonna be okay.
It's dumping gas!
Get a hose on this. Think we got one in the river. Go.
We're on it. There are two types of firefighters, those who are on squad and those who wish they were on squad. Kids, they make the rescue helmets extra big to fit their heads inside. You handle your firefighters, I'll handle mine. That's a good theory. How about giving it a try?
I know it's been a rough month for this house, but we are all dealing with what happened to Darden. Neither you two end this, or I will.
I don't have to explain myself to you. I sleep like a baby. Should have vented the back. You shouldn't have put Andy through the window.
We all lost Darden a month ago Friday, and that ain't changing. So maybe we should.
My name is Peter Mills. I'm the new candidate on 81. You maybe want to hook up for a beer? Or...
Are you gay?
No.
Because I am.
Time!
Less than 2 minutes.
I need to evacuate the blood.
You gotta wait, Dawson.
She's gonna be dead before we get there. Damn it, I hit the heart.
Back it out. Slowly.
Pressure's coming up. Go. I evacuated as much blood as I could.
Let's hope you didn't kill her in the process.
Listen, some of us are going over to Buzzards tomorrow night if you and Hallie want to come.
We would, but we do a date-night thing. Just us.
How was your shift?
Maybe you could find a reason to come over tonight.
We have at least two not moving in the basement.
We'll get them.
Okay.
Don't think. Just do it.
How's Herman on his way to Lakeshore?
So there it is, a little preview of Chicago Fire, beginning in October on the NBC television network. To me, it looks like it's going to be phenomenal. I just like those kinds of shows. Love Third Watch, which didn't last as long as I'd hoped. And some great stuff coming there. And if you are a fan of the TV show Oz, you'll notice that Kareem Saeed, I think his name is Eamon Walker. I forget what I know it's Eamon, but I'm not sure what his last name is. He's the captain of the program. He's just a phenomenal actor, and I think it should be a really good one. So just a look at that. So, it's 52 minutes past the hour. That's going to do it for this edition of KC and 60. I want to thank each and every one of you for spending part of your Saturday afternoon or evening with me, depending on where you are in the country. I'm always grateful to all of you for being here when you do come. Don't forget, coming back on Monday, it'll be the Mouth on Sports, but actually it's going to be the Fan Forum here on DARPA TV, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here. Don't forget to check it out. Joe will be doing the show right here from the same spot where I am. How bizarre is that? Here I am sitting right on his chair, and he'll be right in this same chair in a couple of days, right back here with you. And I'll be doing shows periodically, too. We'll be doing shows together. And it's just going to be great. It really, really will. And Gelby, I promise I will text and call you very, very soon so that we can certainly get caught up. I know there's plenty to talk about. From Port St. Lucie, Florida, Kevin Canessa signing off for now. See you next time, and thanks again for watching. Good night, everybody. Hope to see you again very, very soon.